guys, today we're in rainy Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, standing outside the Gettysburg Heritage Center. Now, this used to be the former home of the Wax Museum, but they've changed it all over now. And I think it's an area that kind of shows you what it was like to be a civilian here during the battles. We're going to head in and see what all they have to offer. So are you ready, Bobby?
I'm ready.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and roll.
Make this your first stop to watch this animated map, because that way when you go out onto the battlefield, you kind of know what was all going on out there. This is very crucial to understand what you're looking at instead of just looking at open fields and stuff. And look, there are the old figures in the old Wax Museum. Look at all those. As we enter the museum, we come up on a display about the carriage industry. You got a carriage and a horse there, and it's basically saying after the Civil War started, it did away with the carriages because then the railroad came. So the Civil War did away with the carriage industry. And then as you come over here, you have a little display to James Getty, guy that found in Gettysburg, in his tavern, and they have some artifacts that they found. And they were digging in 1990. That's pretty neat. Gave us some 3D glasses because go through this museum, you got some pictures, put these glasses on, it's three-dimensional. Wow, that looks really good. Can't tell what it is by looking at that. With these glasses, that's neat, that's something different. It's a little plaque of the boys from this area that fought in the battle. They fought in the wheat field. We have a little display of some bayonets found at the Devil's Den. Some uniform buttons, some canteens. There's some bullets. That was wedged into a gun stock. There's some cannonballs used here. It says this 6-pounder was the only one used during the Battle of Gettysburg by either side. And there's your 12-pounder. Got a sword, some other shells. The place has a lot of good stuff in here to check out and read and look at. Here is a picture of the first Federal soldier killed at the Battle of Gettysburg. Here we have a witness tree. This tree has been through the Battle of Gettysburg, had Lincoln passed, and lasted to 2005. And they put it here on display. I guess they must have thought it was going to fall down. It says for fear of public safety. Has some shells embedded in it. There's one right there. And here's kind of a timeline showing how this tree started. Here's how big there it was. Look at that. Got huge. Over here is more of the tree and kind of shows you a picture of it. Look at that. Thing's huge, huh, Bobby?
Yeah, it really is.
So there's where it was. It's A. There's the tree. Back then, there it is today. Let's see. Bobby said she could crawl through this. Yeah, huge. Look at the picture. Wow. Here we have a replica of the Pennsylvania Monument. You come in here and it's got like pictures. Put your 3D glasses on and just enjoy some knowledge on the battle. So this is the display dedicated to John Burns. Now, John Burns was a 69-year-old citizen of here in Gettysburg. There he is. That became famous because he volunteered to fight. Well, he got wounded. Photographers came in, did a story on him. Was used in the cover of Harper's Weekly Illustrated magazine. And 4 months later, Lincoln even thanked John Burns. So he became the most popular citizen or famous citizen of Gettysburg. And behind that door is the Cellar Experience. Here and see what this is all about.
As the fighting escalated throughout the morning and into the afternoon of July 1st, 1863, the citizens of Gettysburg became
It's like we're in the bottom of our house cellar.
Their once peaceful town was to become the scene of carnage and bloodshed. While many families fled the area to points of safety, others remained.
Officers dashed through the streets, everyone to the cellars. As the town never forget the retreat, it was something terrible. No human words can describe it, and no one who was not on the scene can. And the noise above our heads, the rattle of musketry, the screeching of shells, and the unearthly yells added to the terror and cries of the women.
Fired at each other. The sound was deafening as each explosion shook the houses in town.
Again, the battle began with unearthly fury.
On the 4th of July, Confederate forces retreated, and the Union Army recaptured the town, their time and days. In the aftermath of the battle, there is much to be done.
That was
But in
pretty
the years
neat.
that followed, the memories of the
Sit in here,
citizens
this-
of Gettysburg
That was
will be
good.
known by the sights and sounds of the battle they experienced from the cellars of their homes.
So that Cellar Simulator was really neat. Kind of made it feel like what it was like to be down in your house during the battle and looking out the windows.
Changed a lot throughout the war, but
Nicely done.
you could assume a regiment has about brigades are typically commanded
Have like
by
a
appropriately
tent here showing you what it was like.
brigade. A brigadier general will command a brigade. Sometimes, if that's not available, a colonel will. Sometimes even a lieutenant colonel, especially as it got later into the war. A brigade will consist of.
Here's a display on the aftermath of the battle and the care of the wounded. It's like a little miniature house. So let's go in and see who they're working on. As you first come up, you can just see a bucket full of just all kind of different limbs. They've had to cut off people. Those guys are trying to hold somebody down and tend to his leg. There he is. Man, that would have been terrible back then to do that.
Well, just think about after the fighting was done, how many soldiers had died and just left there, that their bodies deteriorating got into the water supply, which a lot of the residents had died because of the conditions of the bodies rotting into their water supply. And it was just unsanitary conditions.
Yeah, you don't even think about stuff like that. The aftermath of the battle. Probably all the dead horses laying all over the place. Everything.
And remember, this is the 4th of July. It's very hot in
Yeah.
July.
Now there's a picture of the horses, but you have to put your 3D glasses on to see them. And a picture of all the bodies. But you have to have 3D glasses. You have to come here so you can put your 3D glasses on to see this. One of the most famous pictures from the battle is this one right here, which shows 3 Confederate prisoners. Now they've redone it, and they did a great job. There's a nice little display to Jenny Wade, the only civilian killed. Let's see, there's a picture of her house. Little doll of her. So they got a lot of little stuff in there, a lot of little pictures of her boyfriend and her boyfriend's best friend, and some of the different books written about her. Here we have the replica of the gatehouse at the Evergreen Cemetery. It's an iconic building. It was built in 1855. So they have a movie inside here telling you all about the cemetery. Here we have a shell that was found in the cemetery.
They had begun reburying the soldiers from the battlefield into the cemetery, but they would not finish burial operations until the next spring.
That was also found in the cemetery in the 70s, that shell.
And perhaps Lincoln spoke.
And there's this clock over here that was hanging in the gatehouse, which was not taken by Union soldiers during the battle. So that was there during the war.
One of the interesting things about
During the battle,
the National Park Service,
you were killed, you were normally just buried right where you fell. But it says here in October of 1863, 3,354 of the Union dead were reburied in the Soldiers' National Cemetery. But I bet you if you go all over the town and all through the fields, there are people still buried all over the place there today that they didn't find. So this whole town, to me, is a cemetery. Here's how they used to take the pictures back in those days. Look at that camera. Now we just take them on our phones. Have a little setup over here of stuff. This is memorabilia from the Great Reunion of 1913. Got some older pictures of some monuments. And some books. Some canes. So these items were available for sales in stores here at Gettysburg. This was the beginning of Gettysburg souvenirs. Here's a little display to the Gettysburg Address. Now there's all the people there listening to it. Now the actual spot where he gave it, it's not in the National Soldiers Cemetery, it's in the Evergreen Cemetery is where he was standing. Here are some medical instruments. Look at this. There is a bullet lodged in a bone. A bunch more shells. Here's a display of the Trosto Barn, which became famous because of all the animals when they did pictures later. You come in here and you sit and put your 3D glasses on and see a bunch of pictures taken there. So as all the bodies were all over the battlefield decomposing, it brought vultures in. And got a little display here kind of showing you that, what it looked like.
Witnesses say they called it the harvest of death.
Over here you have the Gettysburg on the eve of the battle. So they have this interactive thing you can touch. It says what was the Gettysburg like in 1860, 3 years before the Battle of Gettysburg, and explore the citizens of Gettysburg. So you just tap this, search, it kind of tells you what they did and all that. And shows you a map of the town. Found 15 people with our last name in here.
I checked my maiden name and there's none.
None for you?
Yeah, which is
15
surprising.
for us. It is surprising. So that's kind of neat. So when you come up here, maybe you can just check up and see if
Yep.
there's anybody.
Type in your name,
Yep.
your last name.
Yep. Just type it in. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed our little trip to the Gettysburg Heritage Center. What did you think about it, Bobby?
It was really nice to come through here. There's a lot of reading. And if you have your 3D glasses, you get to watch a few different movies, the pictures, so you can see them better. And also, it costs $9 for an adult to come in. I'm not sure about the kids. You can spend as much time as you want, depending on how much you wanted to read or anything. And also, that Cellar Experience really scared me.
That is cool.
I mean, you're in that dark room, and all of a sudden when they bang, I actually jumped.
That cellar is cool. Yeah, like she said, the 3D, putting those glasses on really makes a difference. And it was great to see the wax figures again from the old wax museum that they didn't destroy. They don't move today, but it was still kind of cool to see them. I enjoyed seeing them again.
Yes, and also there's a gift shop out front if you want to buy a book or anything to read. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe.
Yeah, so until we meet again, J&B have left the building.